Heracross is arguably one of the most iconic Generation 2 Pokémon, and I cannot think of a better choice than Heracross to be our first fighting type runner. We have huge attack and great speed, but we do have a 4 times weakness to flying type moves, so the question is, will our attack be enough to see us through quickly, or will our defense slow us right down? And as always, before we get into the run, I want to say thank you all so much for the support you showed Victory Bell. That was a really fun run to do, even though we did rely an awful lot on the sleep strategies. And if you enjoyed that run and you think you'll enjoy this run, please do click the like button. If you want to get notified about when I upload and when I live stream our runs and our Nuzlocke challenges, please do click the subscribe button. And if you've got anything at all to say, leave it in the comments down below. Now, Heracross is a really interesting Pokemon to run, and arguably our greatest challenge in this run is going to be the very first gym leader, Falkner. With our 4 times weakness to flying type moves, we really are in danger of losing an awful lot of time very early on. Before we can even think about Falkner though, let's take a little look at our stats. We're level 5 and have 23 HP, we're holding a berry and our moves are Tackle and Leer. We have an enormous 18 in attack, 14 in defense, 10 in special attack, 16 in special defense, and 15 in speed. Overall, we are very nippy and very hard hitting, but those special attacks are things we're going to have to avoid. Now the graphics are up and the timer is running, and as always I'll show you the very first encounter we have with a wild Pokemon. It's a level 3 female Rattata and it's just 2 shots without taking any damage. We'll head west down Route 29 through Heracross City and up north onto Route 30, and we'll beat up an awful lot of the local wildlife on Route 30. We grow to level 6 and learn Horn Attack, and then I take the opportunity to do a little bit more grinding with Horn Attack, and we enter Mr. Pokemon's house at level 8. And it's at this point I will tell you I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Chikorita with Heracross. And the reason I chose Chikorita is that will give the rival Cyndaquil. Cyndaquil is the only one of the 3 starters with a type advantage over us, and I wanted to make this run as difficult as possible. Fortunately for us though, Cyndaquil doesn't have Ember yet, and we knock it out in 2 Horn Attacks, and we've defeated the rival for the very first time. We'll head back to New Bark Town and tell the police officer that his name is triple question mark. We'll have a little chat with Professor Elm, we'll get the Pokeballs, and the challenge run is well and truly underway. And with that we can make our way back towards Violet City. We'll go through Cherry Grove City, and before taking on Falkner's gym we will take a trip to the top of the Sprout Tower. At the top of the Sprout Tower, Sage Lee is waiting for us, and after beating his Bellsprout and Hoothoot up we get the Flash HM, we grow to level 12 in the process, and now it's time to take on Falkner. Falkner's our first gym leader together, he's a flying type specialist who led with Pidgey. We knocked it out in 1 shot, we took a little bit of damage from a gust, and we knocked his Pidgeotto out in just 2 shots. I really don't know why I was so worried about Falkner. We took hardly any damage at all from that gust, and our reward is a Zephyr badge in a time of 8 minutes and 15 seconds. Let's now head south into the Union Cave, and out the other side we're heading off to Azalea Town. And before we do anything in Azalea we're going to pick up our HM friends. The first one we're picking up this time is going to be Psyduck. Psyduck will help us out with Surf, Strength, Waterfall and Whirlpool. He's a great addition to any team, and he is the reason we play on night time, because he only appears at night in the National Park before you get the opportunity to surf. The second one is of course Paris. Paris is going to be helping us out with Cut, Flash and Dig, and if we need it a little bit later on he's also said he's going to be helping us out with Sweet Scent as well. But with our 2 HM friends safely tucked away in the bag and a little chat with Kurtz later, we are ready to take on Bugsy. Bugsy is a bug-type specialist who will lead with Metapod. We use Horn Attack against the Metapod and it's going to be a 2 shot even with Harden, and out comes Kakuna. Kakuna uses Harden, so we're not getting poisoned this time, so there's no need for the Poison Cure Berry, and we're on to the Scyther. We resist the Fury Cutter so he does very little damage, and it's just 3 Horn Attacks to knock him out. And that's the Hive Badge acquired in a time of 14 minutes and 47 seconds. Let's now teach Fury Cutter the TM that Bugsy gave us straight away onto Heracross. And I'm going to play it a little bit risky with the next rival battle, because instead of teaching Mudslap, I want to Fury Cutter his Ghastly. Ghastly 4 times resists Fury Cutter, but I still want to have a Bug Stab move on our learn sets relatively early on. So we get to Fury Cuttering and it's looking like it's going to be a 3 shot, but we do get paralysed. That means I'm going to take a reset because Fury Cutter relies on consistent hitting, and we get onto doing it again. 4 hits later and it goes down and we are on to the Quilava. I decide to go back to Horn Attack for Quilava and it's a 2-shot as he leers us, and then out comes the Zubat. It's a 1-shot on Zubat with Horn Attack, and after declining to learn Fury Attack we have defeated the rival for the 2nd out of 5 times. Let's now make our way north through the Ilex Forest. We'll get the Cut HM from the Charcoal Master, we'll also get Headbutts from the green-haired man staring at the tree, and we'll waste no time whatsoever in teaching Headbutt. Headbutt is an incredibly strong physical move for this early on in the game, and that huge chance to flinch means it's perfect for Heracross. So we'll say goodbye to Endure because we have no need for that, and we'll see just how well Headbutt treats us. And now that we've moved north into Goldenrod City, the first thing we'll do is grab the bike, then we'll take a trip into the underground, we'll get the coin case so that we can buy Abra, and we'll also give our Heracross a bit of a haircut. A couple of attempts later on the haircut and Heracross looks delighted, and that does open up the potential for early return. But in the meantime we're going to get the coins from the game corner and buy out Abra. Abra's going to be helping us out with teleport. And then we'll also have a wee little chat with the guard at the gate. He will give us Kenya the Spearow, and Spearow is going to be helping us out with Fly. And I really do think the HM friends are set in stone at this point. In the last few weeks I've been doing an awful lot of rerouting and optimising, and our fabulous foursome of friends is staying exactly the same as it is. Kenya, Abra, Psyduck and Paris really are the best 4 Pokemon you can take around the Johto region. And now after waffling to Floria of the Flower Shop, we can make our way into Whitney's gym. She is our 3rd gym leader together, a normal type specialist who leads with Clefairy. We one-shot the Clefairy with a single headbutt, and then it's time for the counter roll. Unfortunately for her, Miltank flinches and she locks herself into rollout again, and with that it's a foregone conclusion and we get to Whitney's badge in a time of 22 minutes and 37 seconds. And having the plain badge means that we can now talk to the eavesdropping people in the flower shop. They will give us a squirts bottle and that will allow us to progress even further through the Johto region. So with a squirts bottle in hand, we can annoy a tree, talk to a man who was annoyed about the annoying tree, and make our way into Ecruteak City. In Ecruteak City we have the Kimono Girls waiting for us, and we're going to waste no time whatsoever taking them all on. I'm showing you Flareon this time because that's the one we have the type disadvantage to, and Heracross just does not even care. A couple of headbutts later we've defeated all the Kimono Girls and we'll get our reward Surf from the man staring at the stage. Now it's at this point I just want to address a couple of accusations of cheating I've had. Some people seem to believe that you're not able to get to the Lake of Rage until after you've defeated Morty. However, Mount Mortar does actually connect both sides of Route 42, and then there's a land-based route you can take up on Route 43 to get to the top of the Lake of Rage without ever having to surf. So I hope that does clear things up for people who thought I might have been doing something a little bit dodgy. Now up at the top of the Lake of Rage we got Hidden Power and our type was Ground this time, and we also then set the clock to Wednesday so that we could get the Black Belts from Wesley. We'll then teleport back to Ecruteak City, get the Minceberry from the Moo Moo farm, and now it's time to take on the rival for the 3rd time. He's going to lead with Haunter this time, and that Haunter loves to swear. It's got a right potty mouth, so we'd better knock it out with a single Hidden Power Ground. That's exactly what we do, so we're not on a clock this time, and that brings us onto his Quilava. Quilava's a one-shot with Hidden Power Ground, and we're now onto Zubat. We don't have anything super effective against the Zubats, but a quick headbutt later and it goes down. Magnemite is 4 times weak to ground type moves, so we knock it out in 1, and we've defeated the rival for the 3rd time. And with that we'll fall down the hole, release the beasts, dig out, and make our way into Morty's gym. Morty is a ghost and poison type leader who will lead with Ghastly, and Morty is the entire reason we have Hidden Power Ground on our learn set. At this point in the run we only have 2 moves that could potentially hit Morty's Pokemon. And with Fury Cutter being 4 times resisted by Ghost Poison types, it was an obvious choice to get the best hidden power possible for this run. And with Hidden Power Ground it was a one-shot on each and every one of his Pokemon, so we get the Fog Badge in a time of 30 minutes and 20 seconds. Let's now head west towards Olivine City where the man in the cafe is waiting for us. He's going to slag off our Heracross saying it doesn't look particularly strong, but he does give us the strength HM, so we can't be mad at him for too long. We'll also ascend the lighthouse and have a little chat with Jasmine. She's going to tell us that Heracross is sick and we need to get some medication for it. So we'll pick up the rare candy at the bottom of the lighthouse and we'll oblige her by going all the way over the open sea towards Cianwood City. And in Cianwood City, the first thing we're going to do is pick up the secret potion from the drug man at the medicine store. We'll keep that in our pockets for a little bit later on when we return to Olivine. And the second thing we'll do is take on Chuck. Chuck is a fighting type specialist, a little bit like us in this run, and he will lead with Primeape. We headbutt the Primeape as it uses Leer to drop our defense. We knock it out on the very next turn and we're on to the Poliwrath. We flinch the Poliwrath on turn 1, it then uses Mind Reader on turn 2, so it was a simple 3-shot to knock it out, and we get the Storm Badge in a time of 34 minutes and 59 seconds. Now that we've defeated Chuck, we'll have a little chat with his wife who'll give us a Fly HM, and we can fly on over to the Lake of Rage. At the Lake of Rage, the angry red Gyarados is awaiting us. It's got Dragon Rage on its learn set, so it can be a little bit dangerous, but it's looking like Headbutt's going to be a 3-shot. We flinch it on turn 2, so we only take 40 HP worth of damage, and that then triggers Lance to show up. The Liar with the Flyers tells us about the shenanigans going on in the underground. I'm fairly certain he's in cahoots with them though. With no moves or anything interesting happening in the underground, we'll skip that section and go straight into Price's gym. Price is our 6th gym leader together. He's an Ice-type specialist who will lead with Seal. Now, if we had a Fighting-type move on our learn set, this would be an awful lot easier. But as it stands, we don't learn a decent Fighting-type move until level 44, so we're just going to have to headbutt our way through all of his Pokemon. We grow to level 35 against the Dugong and decline learning Takedown. Piloswine uses Mist and then we get a critical hit on it, and we've defeated Price in a time of 40 minutes and 42 seconds. And with the Glacier Badge safely tucked away in our bag, we can make our way out of the gym and over to Violet City. We're going to do a little bit of housekeeping at this point just before we take on Jasmine. We're going to get the rare candy just outside of the Sprout Tower. We'll head to Azalea Town and grab the King's Rock, which will be an incredibly important item for us. We have really high base speed, so it makes sense to hold on to an item that gives you a 10% chance to flinch the opposition. We'll then make our way into Goldenrod City up to the top of the department store. We'll grab the return TM from the lady at the desk. We'll pick up the hidden rare candy just south of the daycare centre, and then we'll keep on surfing south into the hidden spot and beat up some cool trainers Pokemon. Our reward for knocking out all 6 of these cool trainers Pokemon is going to be the soft sand. With Jasmine's Pokemon all being weak to ground type moves, having that extra 10% boost to our hidden power ground attack might just be the difference between a reset and getting through first time. It was a bit of an ordeal to get through the cloister though, and we almost fainted, but we made it through in the end. We get the soft sand and now we can return to Olivine City. We'll ascend the lighthouse, we'll give the secret potion to Jasmine, we'll witness her giving it to Amphi this time, we'll dig out of the lighthouse and make our way into Jasmine's gym. She is the 7th gym leader we're taking on together. She is a Steel-type specialist, and she will lead with Magnemite. Magnemite is 4 times weak to ground-type moves, so we knock it out in one shot, and we are on to the Steelix. We use Hidden Power on the Steelix, and it's looking like a 3-shot. We get a defense drop off the Steelix's Iron Tail, and Iron Tail hits twice in a row. We just about missed her Steelix being in healing range though, and that gave us the opportunity to knock it out and knock out the second Magnemite, and we get Jasmine's badge in a time of 44 minutes and 14 seconds. We didn't even need the soft sand in the end, but now with 8 badges acquired, we're going to fly to Goldenrod City, and the first thing we're going to do is teach Return over Fury Cutter. Fury Cutter really isn't worth keeping on the learn set at this point, even though it's a stab move, and we're going to go into the underground and take on the rival for the 4th time. And the rival's never too sure who he wants to lead with. This time he's going to lead with that pesky Confuse Ray and Golbat. We use Return on it and take it deep into the red, and we get a flinch with the King's Rock, so we're not getting confused this time. We swap to Hidden Power Ground for the Quilava and knock it out in one, and here comes Haunter. We stick with the Hidden Power for the Haunter because it's all we've got, and he sends out Sneasel. Sneasel's a one-shot as Quick Attack deals a tiny bit of damage to us, and then we finish off with a one-shot Hidden Power on the Magnemite. The King's Rock has already proven to be invaluable because that battle was an awful lot easier than it could have been because of the flinch on the Golbat. Let's now pick up our rewards for defeating the rival. We'll get the pink bow off Mary, and we'll also get the radio card from the lady at the reception at the radio tower. We'll fly back to Mahogany Town and make our way through the Ice Path. And it's a very quick trip through the Ice Path today, as the only important item in there for us is HM07, which is Waterfall, so we'll make our way through into Blackthorn City and take on Claire straight away. She's our final Jotonian gym leader. She's a Dragon-type specialist and she leads with Dragonair. It's a one-shot with Return on Dragonair, so she sends out another one, and yes, it's exactly the same thing on Dragonair number 2. Dragonair number 3 goes down, so no Thunder Wave for us this time, and we're on to the Kingdra. Our first return takes Kingdra just shy of healing range, our second one knocks it out, and after a brief detour into the Dragon's Den, we get Claire's badge in a time of 57 minutes and 41 seconds. And with all 8 Jotonian gym badges acquired, we can make our way east from Newbark Town and towards the Pokémon League. So we'll pick up the rare candy on Route 26, battle some of the trainers on this Victory Road analogue, and then go into Victory Road itself. In Victory Road we have TM26 waiting for us. This is Earthquake, which means we can finally say goodbye to Hidden Power Ground, and hello to a delicious base 100 power ground type move instead. And with the rival having so many Pokemon weak to ground type moves, I really cannot think of a better place to test it out than against him for our final battle. This is Rival 5 and this time he leads with Sneasel. We use Return against the Sneasel and it's an easy one-shot to knock it out. He sends out Golbat and we use Return against it, and this time it's a one-shot so we don't need to rely on any flinch luck. We use Earthquake against the Typhlosion to knock that out in one. We do exactly the same against the Haunter. He sends out his Kadabra and we use Earthquake on that because it's got low physical defense. And finally we use Earthquake against the Magneton. Every single Pokemon was a one-shot there, and Heracross is chewing through this run. But we mustn't get too complacent, of course, because things can all change throughout the course of the Pokémon League. So to prepare, we'll heal up Heracross, and then we'll say thank you to our HM friends. It's thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and to Paris. You've all been a great help in the Johto region. Get some well-deserved rest, and we'll see you on the other side of the league. We'll get our 4 full restores, and now let's take a little look at our stats. We are level 49 with 159 HP. We're holding the pink bow, and our moves are Return, Earthquake, Leer, and Reversal. We've got 156 in attack, 110 in defense, 75 in special attack, 129 in special defense, and 119 in speed. And our first challenge is one of our HM friends. It's Mr. Saint Germain himself. It's Will, who leads with a pair of Xatu. Xatu really are some of the most dangerous Pokemon for Heracross, so it was very lucky that we knocked them out both with a single return. He sends out Jinx, and it's a one-shot on the Jinx with another return. Executor comes out, and why change a strategy that's worked so far? We two-shot it with Return as he sets up a Reflect, so we're just going to have to brute force our way through the Slowbro. Slowbro hits us with a relatively weak Psychic and we knock it out in 3 shots, and with that we've defeated Will, and we're on to Koga. Koga is our second Elite Four member. He's a Poison-type specialist who leads with Ariados. 1 return is all it takes to knock out Ariados, and he's on to the Venomoth. Venomoth puts up 0 resistance whatsoever, even though it has a Psychic-type move. We take the Crobat down into healing range as he uses Double Team. We hit him after the full restore, but we both miss on turn 3, and then it's just another turn to knock it out. He sends out Fortress next, and we really don't have anything too suitable for it, so we're just going to spam Earthquake. 3 Earthquakes later and it goes down, and it's a one-shot on the Muck with Earthquake. And with that, we've defeated Koga in a time of 1 hour, 4 minutes and 53 seconds. Next up on the chopping block is Bruno. Bruno is a fighting-type specialist who leads with Hitmontop. We use Return against the Hitmontop and it's a 2-shot, and then he sends out his Hitmonchan. Hitmonchan doesn't use its priority Mach Punch, so we take no damage and a single return takes care of it. We knock out Legs the Hitmonlee in much the same way, and we carry on using Return against the Machamp. Cross Chop is not very effective in this instance, so even a critical hit only just takes us into the yellow, and then we get on to Onix. We use Earthquake and Return against the Onix to make sure it goes down in just 2 hits without healing, and we've defeated Bruno. Up next is Karen, and for once we have a huge type advantage against her. It's just a shame we don't have any stab moves to take advantage of the type advantage. Anyway, we get rid of the Umbreon in 2 shots and we're on to the Vileplume. Vileplume flinches with the King's Rock so we don't get stun spooled, and we switch to Earthquake for the Gengar. We knock the Gengar out in 1 shot and she sends out Murkrow. We use another return against the Murkrow and it gets knocked out straight away. We then switch back to Earthquake for the Houndoom, we knock it out in 1 shot, and we defeated Karen on our very first attempt. Time of 1 hour, 6 minutes and 26 seconds. And now it's just Lance the Liar standing between us and the Hall of Fame. Now this battle could be incredibly difficult. All of his Pokemon are Flying-type Pokemon, and an awful lot of them have Flying-type moves. We managed to get rid of the Gyarados in a couple of hits, and we only have Return for the Aerodactyl. Wing Attack gets a critical hit and one-shots us. We try a couple of attempts later, and we manage to get the Gyarados using Rain Dance, and that at least makes sure that we get through on full health for the Aerodactyl. We use another return against the Aerodactyl, but Wing Attack just demolishes us. There's only one way we can get through Lance, and that's to change our Paralyzed Cure Berry for the King's Rock. Hopefully we can get incredibly lucky with the flinches. We use Return against the Gyarados and it uses Rain Dance, that means the Aerodactyl's coming out second. We use Return against the Aerodactyl because that's all we've got and we flinch it on turn 1. He hits us with a very strong wing attack on turn 2, so we're only on 57 HP as we knock it out. He sends out the Charizard as the rain stops, but we get a very lucky critical hit and one-shot it with Return. That brings us onto his level 50 Dragonite that flinches on turn 1 and gets knocked out on turn 2. That brings us on to the first of his paralysing Dragonites and we critical hit that as well. There's just one more Thunder Waving Dragonite left to go, but we flinch it and we knock it out in 2 shots. We grow to level 54 and we learn Mega Horn in place of Reversal. And with that we have defeated the Pokémon League in a time of 1 hour, 8 minutes and 24 seconds. I was ecstatic after this battle. I was on cloud 9 and our league time is 1 hour, 8 minutes and 40 seconds. Don't you dare go anywhere though, because Kanto is next. And we're back outside our home in Newbark Town where it all began. Professor Elm gives us a phone call and tells us he's got some stuff for us and he gives us the SS ticket. And that will allow us to get to the main part of Kanto a little bit later on. Before we go there though, we've got to go and retrieve our HM friends. So it's a very warm welcome back to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck and to Paris. They had a lovely little rest in the Costa del PC box. And now we've got just a few things to wrap up here in Johto before taking the trip on the boat all the way over to Vermilion City. The first thing we're going to do is pick up some more Headbutt TMs from Goldenrod Department Store. We're then going to head east from Ecruteak City into Mount Mortar, where our first of 2 rare candies is waiting for us. And last but by no means least, we're going to dig out of Mount Mortar, fly back to Olivine City, and then take a little surf over the open sea into the northeastern Whirl Island where our final rare candy is waiting for us. And then with all of the items picked up we can do a cheeky little spin on the spot and suddenly we find ourselves in Vermilion City. And of course the first thing we do in Kanto is the last thing we do in Johto. We're going to pick up another rare candy, this time from the chairman of the Pokemon Fan Club. With that safely tucked away with all the other rare candies in our bag, we'll cycle north up through Route 5, take a detour into Saffron City, we'll go west onto Route 7 and finally end up in Celadon City. We'll grab the leftovers from the bin in the Celadon City Cafe, we'll get a PP up from a bush, and now it's time to take on Erica. Erica is our first Cantonian gym leader together. She's a grass-type specialist and we have a new toy to play with. We've got Mega Horn. It might only be 85% accurate, but that is 120 base power, which increases to 180 base power with Stab. And my goodness, I don't think I've fallen in love with a move as quickly as this before. We just chewed through all of Erica's Pokemon and we get her badge in a time of 1 hour 13 minutes and 9 seconds. Now you might notice the split is saying 1 hour 8 minutes for Lance. That's because after that incredible Lance battle I just did not have the focus in order to play on the same day. So this part of the run was recorded on the next day, by which time my timers had all reset, so I made the best with what I had. In the meantime though, we've been beating up all of Misty's Pokemon and we one-shot every single one of them to get the Cascade badge in a time of 1 hour 17 minutes and 30 seconds. And now here's one of those battles where it's super effective versus super effective. We're against Sabrina and Mega Horn misses, but so does Sand Attack, thank goodness. So we one-shot her Espeon and we are on to Mr. Mime. Mega Horn hits once more and that means it's a guaranteed one-hit KO, and we do exactly the same against the Alakazam. That was an incredibly easy Sabrina battle all things considered, time of 1 hour 18 minutes and 15 seconds. Let's move on to Lieutenant Surge. He's an electric type specialist who leads with Raichu. Raichu gets knocked out with a single return, as does his Electabuzz. That brings us on to the first of his 2 Electrode, and we outspeed the Electrode, so no double team for him this time. It's a carbon copy of the same thing against Electrode number 2, and his final Pokemon is Magneton. We've still got Earthquake on the learn set, so Magneton gets knocked out in one single hit, and we have the Thunder Badge in a time of 1 hour 19 minutes and 29 seconds. Up next is Brock, the Rock-type specialist. He leads with Graveler, and it's a one-shot with Earthquake. Earthquake is going to be super effective against all of his Pokemon, and with our attack stat being a whopping 214 in battle, I can't see this going any other way than a series of one-hit KOs. His final Pokemon is Onix, arguably the bulkiest of them, and even that was knocked out in a single hit. We get the Boulder Badge in a time of 1 hour, 20 minutes and 50 seconds. Now let's take a trip south past the Viridian Hedge Maze. It may look like I skipped 3 drill there, but I've got something to show you. Earlier on the way up, he hit us that time instead, and it was just a one-shot on all of his B-drill. He is a really good trainer to train against because he's so weak but gives a lot of experience. So if you're looking for some extra experience in Kanto, maybe think about taking on Mr. 3 Drill. We need names for all of his B-drill, by the way. Let me know in the comments, what do you think those names should be? In the meantime, I'm going to have a little chat with Blue here at Cinnabar Island. He's going to tell us that he's not in the mood for battling, but go back to the gym in Viridian City, and he'll be there waiting for us in his Duplo fort. But seeing as he made us wait with all that rambling he was doing, he can just wait for us while we take on Blaine and Janine. Blaine is the first of the 2 leaders we're taking on, and I am so glad we have Earthquake on the learn set. It's a one-shot on the Magcargo, it's a one-shot on the Magmar, and you'll never guess what it is, it's a one-shot against the Rapidash. 3 easy one-hit KOs to knock out Blaine's Pokemon, and we get the Volcano Badge in a time of 1 hour, 21 minutes and 59 seconds. Our penultimate gym leader is everyone's favourite pushover, it's Janine. Janine is a poison-type specialist, much like her father, but unlike her father, we have no issues whatsoever against any of her Pokemon. It's just as simple as hitting return against all 5 of her Pokemon, or we knock each and every one of them out. And that's Janine defeated in a time of 1 hour, 22 minutes and 44 seconds. Let's now try for our final gym badge. It's Blue, the former champion, and he leads with Pidgeot. We use return against the Pidgeot and we don't one-shot it. He uses wing attack and it's good night and thank you for living. We'll try again, and this time he uses mirror move. With all AI Pokemon in Generation 2 having minimal friendship, it means we're on full HP as the Arcanine comes out. I misclick and use return instead of Earthquake against the Arcanine, but I do take it into healing range. But as it turns out, Earthquake wasn't a one-shot either. Fortunately for us though, he gets himself into a healing loop and we're back into the green as the Arcanine goes down. He sends out Alakazam next, and we've got Mega Horn for it as long as it hits. We get very lucky and it connects this time, so that's a simple one-shot, so he brings out Gyarados. We don't have anything too great against the Gyarados, so I just stick with return as he uses Rain Dance, and 2 hits later it goes down, and that brings us onto the Exeggutor. We get very lucky with our accuracy there, and Mega Horn hits, so it's a one-shot on that, and let's swap to Earthquake for the Rhydon. We take Rhydon deep into the yellow with an Earthquake as it uses Sandstorm, but it's all over for Blue at this point. Another Earthquake later, we knock it out, and we get the Earth Badge in a time of 1 hour, 24 minutes and 17 seconds. And with all 16 badges acquired, there's only one thing left to do. We have to take on Red, and we are on such a phenomenal pace. Now, what do you think? Will we be able to beat Red in under 90 minutes? We've got just 5 minutes to get there and get the victory. Let me know in the chat in the premiere or in the comments if you're watching later. Is it going to be possible, or will we stumble at the very last hurdle? Please do let me know as we pick up our final rare candy and make our way into Mount Silver for our final challenge. It's Red, a mixed-type champion specialist who leads with Pikachu. Straight away we've hit a problem against this Pikachu because we don't outspeed it. We get hit by Charm, we get hit by Thunder, and I decide to take a reset and start using the rare candies. There's no point in doing the reset shuffle with Charm when we know we can outspeed it at a later level, and in fact 3 rare candies later we are able to outspeed it, and we're on to the Venusaur. Venusaur is incredibly bulky and uses Sunny Day, and we knock it out in 3 shots, and here comes Charizard. Sunny Day boosted Flamethrower says good night and thank you to living for Heracross, and we're gonna have to change strategy a little bit. I decide to lose Earthquake in place of Headbutt at this point. We want to be able to flinch Red's Pokemon as much as possible, and while we're at it, we're going to grow to level 67 with more of our rare candies. We use Return against the Pikachu, and that is now a trivial Pokemon. It's a one-shot. I use Return on the first turn against the Venusaur, and then use Mega Horn to make sure that's now a 2-shot, and we're onto that pesky Charizard. I use Headbutt against the Charizard and it doesn't flinch. He uses Wing Attack and takes us down all the way to 22 HP, and another Wing Attack knocks us out. We clearly aren't strong enough to take care of that Charizard at the moment, so let's grow all the way up to level 71 and see if we can do any better. Pikachu is irrelevant as always at this point. We use Return on the Venusaur and then we use a Mega Horn to make sure that's a 2-shot, and we're back onto the Charizard. We use Headbutt against the Charizard on turn 1 and it gets a critical hit, but Flamethrower hits us so hard and knocks us out. We are well over the 1.5 hour mark at this point and we are struggling very hard. Red is proving to be the wall that Lance was not. Every time we get to that Charizard it has an answer for us. Even with all the flinching we're managing to get off on this Charizard, a single hit is enough to take us from full health into the red. We do eventually manage to get through the Charizard and we can see how bad the rest of the battle is going to be. Mega Horn is a one-shot against the Espeon, so that is very fortuitous, but I think this Snorlax might prove to be much trickier, and in fact Body Slam knocks it out. I decide to give up on the King's Rock at this point and go for the leftovers. We have Headbutt, which is a flinching move, and it's enough to 3-shot the Charizard. We get through the Pikachu with no issue whatsoever, and Mega Horn almost knocks out the Venusaur. It is still enough for Venusaur to set up Sunny Day for the Charizard, and we start to headbutt it. We get a critical hit on turn 1, and I swap to return, and that's enough to get through Charizard on full health. We're onto the Espeon, Mega Horn connects, and it's a one-shot to say goodbye to that forever and a day. We use Mega Horn against the Snorlax to take it deep into the yellow. We don't get paralysed by Body Slam, and then I switch to return because it's 100% accurate. There is only one Pokemon left to go. It is Blastoise. We use Return against the Blastoise, but it doesn't get it into the yellow, so we risk it once again with Mega Horn. It hits, and we've defeated Red in a time of 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 15 seconds. I was so happy with this time. I couldn't believe just how quickly we raced through the game, and it is a very proud 4th place on the leaderboard for Heracross. A Pokemon with so many weaknesses has no right doing so well, so he should be incredibly proud of himself. And I've got to be honest with you, I predicted a 2nd page finish for Heracross, so I was incredibly pleasantly surprised with the results of this. Unfortunately for Jinxo, that means she's now stuck down on page 2 in 11th place, and we have Magcargo all the way down at the bottom in 37th place. But with that, we are done. So I'm going to say thank you all so much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave it a like. If you really enjoyed this content and want to see more, please do click the subscribe button. If you've got anything to say, leave it in the comments below. And I have a Patreon at patreon.com/TrainerSquidgy. But until next time, I'll say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.